some caffeine there with Coca-Cola. Hopefully this is live, guys. What is going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993. For some reason, YouTube's control room has kind of changed up on me quite a bit here for some reason. So I was a little confused as far as, getting started. That's why it took me a while to start the stream. So hopefully you guys can get to the live chat and whatnot tonight. Hopefully we'll see people coming in soon. But again, I was a little confused because some things have changed, and even the was allowing me to edit in the tags for this video. You got Jason Deleg saying good night. So I guess someone's in the live chat. Okay, so I guess that works. Alright. So I don't know what that was up, but I had some glitches with the with some type of update to YouTube, but oh well. What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993. I am here live to give you my live review from last night's edition of Monday Night Raw, the August 3rd, 2020 edition of Raw. We are now in August of 2020. Unbelievable. 1 month, of course, to my birthday next month. Once again, we're at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. Very mixed bag episode of Raw for me. First off, also gotta say, my best attempt, because I could not find a PNG image of Sasha Banks with both titles that she has now, so it looks a little bit weird. I did the best I could. Maybe next week I'll find one with her with both titles, the PNG image. So I have this awkward looking one right here. Might be putting my SummerSlam match card if I get to that tonight. Who the heck knows? But so this episode of Raw. Well, first off, I didn't get to watch all of Raw last night. I only got to watch half of it because I had to go to the airport to pick up my dad. And then I came home today from work, ate dinner, and then I passed out in my bed. I got tired, so I didn't get to catch up with the highlights from Raw until like about an hour ago. And had to gather my thoughts, because this episode of Raw introduced something new, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it yet. This concept that Shane McMahon had returned and introduced to us. And we had some other things happen on Raw. So I wouldn't say it was a bad show. It was a very back and forth. There are things I liked, things I did not like. There were some things I thought were great, and then it had something that just killed it for me, in my opinion. Just one of those episodes. So there is quite a bit to talk about, which we will get into. Of course, I have my Coke here. I just finished. Hopefully it'll perk me up, keep me awake to be able to do this review. So let's roll into it. Let's talk about what happened on this show. Oops, don't have the right information here that I was looking for. Alright, there we go. Alright, so this episode of Raw opened up, first off. It was only emphasized mainly in the first match, but emphasizing this power outage stuff that we were getting. So I'm not sure first if it was a work or if it was just something goofy and just out of the blue that they were just, thrown together. I'm not too sure. But of course the power was teasing in and out, because it did show at some point in the show some random people in masks throwing fire at a generator, which caused the power to go out. So they are teasing some type of stable. A lot of people thought maybe Undisputed Era, some people thought maybe Hurt Business. From what we saw, though, it could be something completely different, though, after what we saw later in this episode on Raw. So we opened up with the match we were supposed to get at Extreme Rules. The horror show Extreme Rules, which ended up being quite a terror, as we all know. Apollo Crews and MVP for the United States Championship. It was a solid match, and Apollo Crews won clean with a spinning sit-down powerbomb. So, of course, Bobby Lashley ran after the match, tried to take out Cruz, but Cruz slips away, and he takes both United States titles with him. And he's interviewed backstage. He says how Lashley's full Nelson is like nothing that's ever happened to him. Because of it, he had to stay at home and watch MVP pretend to be champion, while his kids asked him if he was really still the U.S. champion. He says he's giving his kids the old version of the belt, and thanks to MVP, he's gonna bring the new belts to on the road with him. So I guess that's the weird way they're gonna write off the old U.S. title. Apollo Crews is gonna give it to his kids. So if you want to see the old U.S. title, just go to Apollo Crews' kid's bedroom, basically. Which I thought that was just corny to do so, but whatever. I mean, Apollo is still champion. Afterwards, though, MVP was still out by the ringside with a microphone, and just tears out a commentary team complaining about the lights going out, saying this is unsafe work environment. And he tells Cruz doesn't care about his wife or his kids, but he wants a rematch at SummerSlam. Which, okay. I don't know if I want to see this match again, though. I mean, it was fine. But a SummerSlam match, another one, I don't know. I was kind of hoping this U.S. title match would kind of steer Apollo Crews a little more into the direction of him joining the Hurt Business. But now that they didn't, I felt that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. I mean, I'm sure they're going to try to do it. The right way to kind of do it is, because someone said this recently, the way Roderick Strong joined the Undisputed Era. Whatever, like he was about to join around War Games, but he didn't. Kind of pull it off that way. The problem is I fully can't trust the main roster to pull that off. To like absolutely, fool us. I still feel like it's going to be kind of like a thing where they're going to kind of like, telegraph, like, oh, is he going to join? He's going to join. He's going to join. There, he joined. You happy? Pretty much one of those things. And I'm not sure if they can pull that off. And just based off of how they kind of just had Apollo win clean here, because to me, it would have been like, okay, Apollo, I wanted him to remain U.S. champion. But if he lost to MVP, he could have started, doing the whole if you can't beat him, join him thing. Well, Apollo Crews has now beaten MVP twice. He beat him here. He also beat him in the qualifying match. He was originally supposed to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. But then, of course, he got written off with that kayfabe injury and replaced with AJ Styles after that gauntlet match. So, I'm not sure what they're going to do at SummerSlam with this. And, this... Because I think they need to start... Because I liked how they were kind of slowly teasing it with the kind of like the couple little tactics that Paul was doing to, make sure he doesn't lose his title. But they kind of veered away from that a little bit. And I'm not sure if Apollo being gone because him being sick kind of hindered that a little bit. But I'm just not sure how they're going to get to it now. Just my opinion, though. So, we'll see. But once again, don't forget, Apollo Crews, the old U.S. title, is in Apollo Crews' kid's bedroom. Crews can't lose, if you want to say that. Who knows? But so we got that. So then we see Sasha and Bayley backstage celebrating, and then we got the interview where they're gloating about them having all the gold, and they show, another, video clip is just literally the same thing. We're the best. We're the golden role models. Or just how many times Asuka interrupted it and basically said she's out for revenge. And of course, it's how dare you? Oh my gosh, the over exaggeration kind of kills it for me. The only thing I actually remembered I thought that was pretty cool about this segment was when Shayna Baszler rolled up and says a few words about how she's waiting in line and now she's ready to take over the women's division, and she just popped like a sucker punch into Sasha's jaw and knocked Sasha down onto her feet. That was a nice sucker punch. Better than when that Triple H gave Kurt Angle the night after Elimination Chamber 2018, when basically they were like, no, we didn't we didn't say all that stuff to Ronda Rousey, but it was like, shut up, we did. He just sucked that cheap looking, this awful looking sucker punch. It just made me think of that whenever Shayna did that to Sasha. Except Shayna actually, got a good punch in, I thought. All right, then we get Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens walking around. He runs to the Iconics. Here he's hosting the KO show next, but he says he's already got a guest. But he loves Australia. But sorry, I have a water. So Owens goes out to the ring, and before I start this segment, once again, why the heck is Kevin Owens still limited to just a talk show host? Like, they've gone so back and forth with him as a babyface. They've given him fire as like a Stone Cold Steve Austin style, but oh no, it makes him look like Stone Cold. They soften him up, and then it's just like they can't. They still, like a year later, they still have not found the right dynamic for Kevin Owens as a babyface. I mean, I still think his heel run was dead. His heel run, had ran its course, and I had seen potential in him when he's like fired up as a babyface. But being like the soft teddy bear type person he is, just portraying him to be like, I'm just like, ugh. He beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Yes, he hurt his ankle apparently, but ever since WrestleMania, what has he done? Anyways, so he comes out, and he welcomes to the KO show. There's a lot of things happening tonight, including the return of Shane McMahon, which of course, Owens was the one who got Shane fired last October. He's got plenty to say about that, but no, he's not here to talk about that. He's here to talk about Ruby Riott, who comes out, and he puts over her victory over Peyton Royce recently, and how emotional it made her. She says she's had pretty bad luck since coming back, and the Iconics have ground salt right into the wound. She's dealt with toxic and broads like them her entire career, and last week she finally shut up Peyton and put an end to their BS. And she mentions Liv, but Owens says that Liv is his second guest. So Liv comes out, and then basically Owens tries to convince. Well, Owens explains how throughout his career he sacrificed and broke a lot of friendships he's made because he thought it was best for his career. But he claims that it was not the best. So pretty much he's mentioning how, he remembers when Ruby and Liv were part of the Riot Squad. Says they were great and had something special. Still don't think that was the case. And even though Sarah Logan has moved on, it doesn't mean that they should be done. Because Ruby and Liv bring the best out of each other. And even though, once again, he's saying how since he broke a lot of friendships, the best he could do is fix one. So they don't have to be friends, but he thinks it's worth for Liv to hear Ruby out. And then Ruby gets all emotional, talks about when she came back, she thought everything would be the same, but it was all different. She saw Liv thriving and thought maybe Liv didn't need her, which hurt. Then Liv beat her twice, and she thought she definitely didn't need her, so she wasn't ready for that. She apologizes for taking everything out on her, and every time she looks at the tattoo she has their debut date, all she's asking for is another chance for the Riot Squad to be stronger than it's ever been. Before Liv can respond, out comes the Iconics! They come out, and they're sick of hearing the two of them bicker because no one cares. Liv should have stayed in the bathtub, referring to those vignettes she had. And they're so tired of all of Ruby's social media posts about her one emotional win. They have dominated a tag team division. Not really. They conquered WrestleMania. Not really. And they'll always be better than the two of them. Liv says she and Ruby may not be iconic, but they agree on one thing. No one starts a riot better than them. And then Owens says, I think the message is pretty clear. Unless the Iconics have something else to say, they should leave, let them carry on with their business. And then Peyton challenges them to a match. They bicker, and Owens says, calls for, more technical difficulties on the microphones to shut them up. And then Peyton slaps him when he's like, that wasn't necessary. And then Billy slaps him. And then Owens is just like, can you help me out here, ladies? And he walks away, which I thought that was, again, just very not so Kevin Owens like. And then they beat them down. Then we have a match with the Iconics and Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. And they win. The Riott Squad. Look, it was no secret. I wasn't a big fan of the Riott Squad when it first came out. I thought that it was just super random. Very out of character for the three of them, I thought. Because basically they came up as something completely different than they were in NXT. And it was literally just copycatting exactly what they were going to do with Paige, Sonya, and Mandy in Absolution. Until, of course, that got the plug pulled on because of Paige's career-ending injury. So I was never really the biggest fan of the Riott Squad. Now, though, there's a story. There's actually a direction for them. I mean, yes, they have a history together. Yes, as friends, of course. Yes, again, I wasn't a fan of it. But this works. It's giving Liv and Ruby some sort of a direction. And I'm intrigued. Will it lead to maybe for Ruby and Liv to dethrone Sasha and Bayley of the women's tag titles at some point? Maybe not at SummerSlam, maybe at Payback, which is happening the week after SummerSlam, which I might make card predictions for that. Who knows? Maybe. Quite possibly. I don't know. So I'm kind of intrigued by this. It's not like the big blow it out of the park thing, but one, it gives Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott a direction, and actually makes the Riott Squad mean something for once to me. And two, it was a great opportunity for Ruby Riott to really shine her microphone skills. Again, a lot of people can say, Ruby Riott's microphone skills are definitely super overlooked in the women's division. With how, weird and crappy the Riott Squad was booked, her talent was definitely overshadowed by that. But like I said, now they have a direction, it's going to allow Ruby to really, shine. And again, I think by the end of the year, Ruby could be a big serious contender for the Raw Women's Championship. Where she is with, again, well, probably not Sasha. Sasha probably still on SmackDown. Whether it's, she'll be feuding with, Shayna or Asuka. I think at some point soon we will see Ruby feuding for that championship. And again, this is just a step for her to just, break out of that. Maybe have a run with the women's tag titles with Liv, yes, but, Liv, she's gotten better. Again, when she first came to the main roster, I thought she was just a weakling. I thought she was probably one of the weaker links of the Riott Squad. But I definitely have seen tons of improvement with Liv in this character change she went through. Of course, I didn't like how they brought her back as being Lana's secret lover, which again was just a 1 week flop, I thought. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. So, props to WWE for that. Back from commercial, there's someone knocked over road cases because of equipment issues and whatnot. I thought that was kind of cheap. Why wasn't there just bodies? They're really teasing there's someone else here. MVP rolls up, and the focus is on his loss, but he's confident he's getting his match at SummerSlam, which he basically told us made official. Shelton Benjamin rolls up and says someone stole his belt, and MVP leaves with him, and they're off to find Shelton Benjamin's 24/7 title. Then we get this segment. This was really good. Probably, in my opinion, the best thing on the show. Drew McIntyre comes out to cut this great promo. Mentions how Orton has spent 20 years preying on vulnerability. Talked about how he'd rather slip in after a match and hit the RKO, but that's on him. Randy warned him, and thanks to the education, that's not going to happen to him again. They're both equally motivated, and at one time or another, Vince McMahon himself looked them in the eye and told them they were the chosen ones, the future of this industry. But he paces a beat before continuing, admitting that things didn't go as planned. Edge said it best, though. this wasn't Orton's plan A, B, C, or even D. He didn't lie awake as a kid thinking how he'd make it in WWE. He talked about Orton's early accolades, then got fed to him on a silver spoon because of who his dad was. He made mistakes and got fired for them. And Drew says he deserved to be fired. He's spoken to so many people around here over the years, and he's spoken to people that cleaned up Randy Orton's literal crap. And he should have been fired way more times. Which then brings out Orton with, once again, Ric Flair. Still don't know why he's there, especially when his wife apparently freaking got sick. But WWE's still stubborn in their own ways, so if Flair gets sick, again, WWE has nobody else to blame but themselves. You know? And let me see here. So then Orton asks Drew if his respect for him isn't enough. And if he doesn't want to be here, why is he here? He's here every week because he loves it and appreciates it. And he should have been fired over and over again, yet he wasn't. But Drew was. Why? Because because Orton was more valuable to the company than McIntyre ever will be. Drew is saying all these things that everyone else has and challenges him just to come up with one original thought about Randy Orton. Like something that only Drew would say. McIntyre's like, okay, I'll shoot. He thinks Orton represents everything that's wrong with the company. He mentions how The Undertaker talked about in his series The Last Ride. He pulled Orton up to his level because he wanted to preserve this industry. But here's the biggest question. How many times has Orton returned the favor? When he was self-destructing, when Drew was self-destructing, his mother was sick. And a kind word from a guy like Orton might have been enough to pull him out. But all he saw when he looks around at Orton is a selfish prick. He remembers walking past him, during that time, and Orton didn't even bother to, pick him up. He's got a whole bunch of receipts to cash at SummerSlam. And he promised he's going to kick Orton's head in the head at SummerSlam. And he may not see the RKO coming, but Orton's definitely going to see the Claymore kick. Very great promo. Again, Orton challenged Drew to basically say what nobody else has said to him. Yes, they've all heard how many times he gets handed things. Yes, you heard how many times that people don't believe this was Orton's original plans for his career, since he's doing this because he's Cowboy Bob Orton's son. No. He goes as far as saying, again, I just still, even though, once again, it's hindered because of the no audience. What's made this title run so great for Drew, it just focuses so well on his comeback story. It's like this great coming-of-age story that's really making Drew McIntyre a great babyface champion. And he hit the nail on the coffin, I felt, in this promo, going as far as saying the truth, how it's true. The on-screen character of Randy Orton, backstage, Orton's wanted to put over people. But on camera, the character, he's right. When has Orton, as an on-screen character, wanted to help benefit people? Besides, legacy, making them do his bidding for him. I don't think ever. This was really good. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. And again, you can tell both Drew and Orton are into this match. Again, you can tell, like I said, when Orton tries, he's on the money. And this is definitely him being on the money with this stuff with Drew McIntyre. Because even back in right before the Rumble on the Go Home show, when Orton and Drew had that match, you can tell that Orton was into working with Drew. And now we're getting this title match at SummerSlam. I think it's gonna be pretty darn good. I cannot wait to see what they do at SummerSlam, and quite possibly, most likely, it'll be the main event. And I hope it is. Check the live chat before I go on. So Tyler thinks Owens needs to turn heel. Bring back No Mercy, not Hell in a Cell. Needs to return as a pay-per-view. I agree. Make October No Mercy again. And of course, Hell in a Cell, forget that. They killed that concept last year with that stupid match stoppage finish, which was still dumb as hell. All right. First we see Owens then backstage talking to the Riot Squad. When Ric Flair wants to talk to Owens alone, he talks about the history with him a beat and says he thinks he's turning into a guy that helps folks out more than a guy that looks out for himself. Kind of true. Owens says he gets it, but he sacrificed so much and now he's taking a different path. To be a person he wanted to look up to in the locker room. Flair's like, it's pretty strong of you, but he's in Orton's corner. So give Owens some advice he needs to hear. Mind your own business, take care of yourself, maybe you get a title shot at SummerSlam. Owens says if Rick is so worried about his career, he'll show him what kind of a fight he has when he fights Randy Orton next week. Okay. Should be a good match. And then we had this. So Nia Jax assaulted Pat Buck last week. Now here's the thing. The only time I've ever heard of Pat Buck is when he was being like a second commentator on Ryback's podcast Ryback's Feed Me More podcast or whatever. Conversations with the big guy he was having. Pat Buck. It's the only time I've ever heard of Pat Buck. So I'm not sure how many people really know who Pat Buck is. So Nia Jax attacked Pat Buck last week when she was brawling with Shayna Baszler. So Nia comes out and basically she's told that she has to apologize. Nia says, I really take to heart the millions of us who idolize me. So when a spindly little run of a WWE legend agent steps to her, it's her responsibility to step back. So Pat Buck comes out and says he's expecting an apology, and she says, you'll get one after our match. And he's like, what? She's like, this is a big opportunity. You get to fight me. And then she provokes him further, and then again just act like a dumbass, and then Pat Buck just suspends her. She's without pay, indefinitely. What? All she does is just pulls off his jacket and headbutts him. So Nia Jax has been suspended. Why? Like, what's the reason behind this? I mean, she disappeared for about a month after she lost her rematch to Asuka. She's been back for 2 weeks? And now she's gone again. Okay. Not sure what the whole point of it was, but bye-bye, Nia. Huh? You all know that. So I didn't care about that. That was definitely the dumbest part of the show. Then we had some triple threat match with R-Truth, Shelton Benjamin, and Akira Tozawa for the 24/7 title. All I remember is that the Ninjas got involved again and the Hurt Business took them out, but then Tozawa won the title, become 24/7 champion. And then he runs away. Then we had this backstage interview with Dominic Mysterio, which you can tell he didn't seem confident reading this promo word for word from the script. It may be crazy to keep fighting Seth, but it's easy. I saw my dad blinded, so I think it's understandable he hasn't been in the right place as of late. And if anyone thinks I'm crazy, you're really going to think I'm crazy after I challenge Rollins to a match at SummerSlam. Promo skills need work, Dominic, but in-ring ability. We'll talk about that, of course, when I get to one of the segments later on. We had this match. Now, this next match is the definition of excellent, and then something dumb happens and kills it. We have this match with Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler. This was a really good match. You can tell these two have excellent chemistry and can work very well together. Hard hitting, a lot of great counters. Again, from having Shayna being off TV for a few months ever since the Money in the Bank ladder match, she just disappeared for a while. Again, if Vince is not high on Shayna Baszler, he's ridiculous after seeing the performance her and Sasha put on with this match. This was excellent. Hard hitting, some great counters, some great maneuvers. These two really brought out the best in each other. With Sasha Banks, of course, I feel like, just having one of the best matches, besides, of course, the Hell in a Cell match with Becky Lynch, and even the Clash of Champions match with Becky Lynch last fall. I gotta say, this was definitely one of her best matches since she returned back from last August. I gotta say, this was really good. Except for the finish. Once again, what's up with Sasha Banks and finishes to her matches? First, you get Bayley being the referee, which was stupid. Bayley attacking Kairi Sane, and Asuka runs to save Kairi, and she wins the title by countout. That was stupid. And then, during this match, Asuka comes running out. She attacks Bayley. Again, this match is Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler, right? Asuka attacks Bayley. Ring the bell. What? Like, how's that a DQ? Did they change something I didn't know about? So, somebody wins by DQ. I don't know what it is. Just ends just for the heck of it because Asuka started to attack Bayley until she gets into the ring and goes after Sasha Banks. She's then interviewed and says that well, first off, the Boston Hug Connection ran to the back. There was a commercial, and then she's interviewed saying how Kairi will be okay, but she's not here now. She's not coming back. She's done with the company. But she wants a rematch against Sasha at SummerSlam. Shayna, though, is still out there. Shayna says, I'll be cheering for you to win the entire time. I will cheer, I will clap, blah, 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 because I'll be excited to dismember you and take the Raw Women's title off of you. They're not going to turn Shayna Baszler face, are they? I really hope they don't. I'm sorry. I don't think Shayna Baszler can work as a babyface. I really don't. It's kind of like how a lot of people think The Miz can't work as a babyface, even though his last babyface run, I still believed something was there. They just screwed it up. I don't think Shayna Baszler can work as a babyface. I really don't think so. So I hope that was just kind of like a tweener promo. If they're going to do like a triple threat at back at Payback or something like that the week after. It's possible. But Bayley and Sasha came back out, and basically Sasha said you can have your rematch if you can beat Bayley. So kind of like what Bayley was doing to Sasha by basically having Sasha be thrown in as bait pretty much. And Bayley's just like she didn't like that. So we're going to have that rematch next week, and if Asuka wins, she gets her rematch at SummerSlam, which she'll probably will, and she will probably win because, well, Sasha and Bayley have retained the women's tag titles a couple times this reign, but I'm pretty sure Sasha is not retaining the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Just my opinion. We have that. Then we have... Okay, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Stuff I'm sure you want me to talk about for Raw. Let's see here. So, first, we have... backstage, Angel Garza talking to Demi Burnett from The Bachelor. And basically, Lena's like, she doesn't belong with us. You have to come talk to me. Come here. So they get ready because they have 2 singles matches with the Street Profits coming up. But first, we cut to some random room. And there have been rumors leaking that Shane McMahon was returning on Raw tonight, even though he'd been fired. I'm like, what the heck is he doing here? So we cut to this room, looking like they're in like a garage or something like that. We see a dude hit a counter power bomb, and Shane McMahon introduces us to Raw Underground. There will be chaos. There will be carnage. And he introduces Babatunde under a new name. Basically, I guess apparently he was some random dude in the Greatest Royal Rumble. I don't remember him because I don't remember the Greatest Royal Rumble at all. I tried to watch the match once, and I literally forgot completely, other than the fact that Braun Strowman won. I came down to Strowman, Big Ass, and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan had the Iron Man performance he should have had in the 2015 Royal Rumble. But, anyways. So, basically, this whole Raw Underground thing is like a fight club. Because, let me say this first. At this point, the last thing I saw before I left for the airport was when Asuka came out and interrupted the match with Sasha and Shayna. But anyway, so this is just like the highlight stuff I saw. So for what I got from it, it was kind of like a fight club environment, and there was some pretty good-looking ladies there, I will say. So basically, we have this whatever the guy's name is, Babatunde, whatever his name is, basically just taking out guys. You know, it's like a brawl, big brawl. So basically, everybody takes them down. We see a couple more segments throughout the night. We even saw Eric from the Viking Raiders have like a beat down. Basically, it was kind of like, you know, just grappling and whatnot. There's some people I know. Again, it's, for me personally, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, I gotta see more of this to really, you know, judge it. Because I know a lot of people are saying they're afraid this is going to turn out to be like the Brawl for All. But there's some people who are saying there's rumors of a brand new stable coming. And I feel like, you know, they could be having it based off of, you know, this Raw Underground thing. Could kind of be so, and basically them taking over Raw or something like that. My only concern, though, is, one of my concerns is, the fact they have, like, you know, the Viking Raiders. They had Dolph Ziggler fighting in there. I would like this, if this is going to work, it needs to introduce some new people. Because I think it did a great job introducing, Babatunde, whatever his name is. Like, if anyone I felt, you know, caught my attention, it was definitely him. If that's like someone they were going to introduce, worked for me there. But the fact that it was the rest of the night, besides the closing segment, which we'll get to that momentarily, besides the fact that we got that, we still saw the Viking Raiders and Dolph Ziggler involved with this. What's them? I mean, especially Dolph Ziggler. Like, again, as I mentioned, you know, the reason why I wasn't too invested in the Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler feud recently was because we all knew Dolph was going to lose. At this point in his career, what's Dolph Ziggler being involved in this? If Dolph Ziggler is one of the people being involved in this stable, what's that going to do for him? How many more stables is Dolph Ziggler going to be involved with? And I know Robert Roode has been around probably because of the pandemic, but isn't him and Robert Roode still a tag team? Like, again, if this is going to work, and this is meant to introduce a new stable with this kind of like, you know, Fight Club gimmick and whatnot, I want there to be introduce new people. I don't want to just to like throw, like, you know, like Dolph Ziggler and the Viking Raiders together with like two other random people that we're getting to know through this. I want it to be something fresh talent, a fresh group. That's what I'm asking for this to be. I don't want this to be just another, you know, this is another stable with like, you know, involvement people we've seen in how many stables before. So it's one of the things where it's like, I want to give it a chance, but I want to see more. And I don't want to get my hopes up too much this yet. And I also don't want this to turn to just a random, you know, Brawl for All thing as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But there was one more segment to close the show involving that I'll get to in a little bit. We had these singles matches involving the Street Profits, then Garza and Andrade. The first match was Angel Garza and Angelo Dawkins. And the match ends after Garza hits a basement dropkick on Dawkins' head. After he was distracted by Montez Ford randomly passing out. And of course it happened again when Ford took on Andrade. And then when he passed out, the referee stopped the match. And basically they checked on him. And basically they're saying that they think that Montez Ford was poisoned. which Bianca Belair comes off out and she basically talks trash to Zelina Vega, thinking it was her, saying, and Zelina's like stuttering, I was like, I didn't do it. It's like, when I stuttering, basically, Bianca talking trash is quite sick. So probably we're gonna see a match with Bianca and Zelina next week or so. But yeah, just some random little thing just to throw in there with this feud that I'm not interested at all whatsoever with the Street Profits and Andrade and Angel. Like I said, they've just really gone back and forth, beat around the bush with Garza and Andrade. That I don't care about them, honestly, and quite frankly, I don't care about this match at SummerSlam either. So we have that, but then we have Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. Rollins says that Murphy made a good decision last week and he's proud of him. The past is the past, and tonight they focus on the future. And Buddy's like, what do you think of Dominic Mysterio challenging to a match? He thinks it's ridiculous that a guy with no experience is going to challenge Seth to a match. But then Rollins smiles and just says, come with me. So they go out, and then, first off, we have a backstage interview where MVP takes an issue with the idea that they can't get it done when the real question is about the way they've been sabotaged, basically, or something like that. But we get a recap of what's going on with Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, because it's been going on for how long now. But Seth comes out. He's like, before I answer Dominic's challenge to SummerSlam, they have some housekeeping to take business to. They got to the commentary desk. Basically, they threatened Tom Phillips, because Tom Phillips was basically rooting against Seth Rollins last week. And he was telling Buddy Murphy to basically get him and sacrifice him. Until Samoa Joe stands up and he's like, not gonna happen. If you really thought that Tom was laughing, I was enjoying this much more than him. And Seth's like, yeah, don't want to do this, and Joe's like, but actually I do. And he just talked so much trash to him, and I'm just like, dang it, I missed that, Joe. I mean, Joe's been great on commentary, don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, I hope this is teasing Joe to get back in the ring. I've missed like, the trash talking. Again, Samoa Joe, you could say, even though he may not have gotten the accolades on the main roster, like a run with the world title, he's had like a brief 2 runs with the United States Championship, but you just forget like how great on the microphone he is. And of course, Ruby Riott, again, he's gotten overlooked with his microphone skills and just how much trash he can definitely talk and how intimidating he can come across as. So basically, he's challenging them to a fight until Dominic Mysterio comes from behind and attacks them with a kendo stick. And he actually, again, like I said earlier, Dominic's microphone skills need a ton of work. In the ring, though, he's awesome. I mean, again, remember, this is a guy who literally tried to, go toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar last fall. And he looked great, and he looked believable. So he went after Seth and Murphy, and basically they got out of the ring, and Seth was like, fine, you know what? You got your match at SummerSlam. I still don't know how I feel about Dominic taking on Seth as his first match. Obviously, they have big plans for him if they're having him face Seth in his first match, though. So I'm not crazy about it. And when I do my SummerSlam card predictions, which I'm going to start working on hopefully after I get off the air here, I still going to predict Seth Rollins and Aleister Black, as I feel like the match should be, but we'll see what happens with Seth and Dominic. Again, I'm still not crazy about it, but, we'll see how it goes. Because, like I said, his Dominic in the ring looks awesome. On the microphone, though, needs work. So we got that, and then the show ended with the Hurt Business crashing Raw Underground and basically just beating everybody down and taking over the whole show. So, yeah, that's that. Again, this Raw Underground stuff, I want to see more of it to really determine if I'm for this or not. I'm intrigued, but I'm still not 100% sold. So we'll see where it goes there. But that's Raw. Back and forth show. Again, I like the stuff with Ruby and Liv. Drew and Orton especially is my favorite. Raw Underground interests me. The stuff with Rollins and and Dominic, odd, but I still take it. But of course, stuff like, the Nia Jax suspension was dumb. Well, the match with Shayna and Sasha was great, except for that finish. And again, I wasn't a big fan of stuff with Andrade, Garza, and the Street Profits, but I'm gonna give this show a C plus. C plus for this episode of Raw. Check the live chat before I go off the air here. I'll talk about it on my worst WWE WCW pay-per-view ending soon, okay? What's up, Elite Squad? Kevin Owens should be in the main event, definitely. Thank God you're still here, because of last year, I want Shane as GM for SmackDown and so-called as GM for Raw. Fine by me. Playing WCW and NWO Revenge, and Ray's going to get involved with the match. Probably Joe should have been champion in 2017. I do agree with that. I think they should have. When he feuded with AJ Styles, I mean, again, I love that AJ had a great run with the title. I felt Joe should have taken the title off of him, though, at SummerSlam. I still feel this day. That would have been the prime time for Samoa Joe to be world champion. I still think he should get a run with the world title, but chances are looking kind of slim. But that's going to do it, guys. Again, I'm tired. Get ready to go to bed. Maybe start my SummerSlam card. But that's my thoughts on Raw, guys. C plus for Raw. What are your thoughts on Raw? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video. Subscribe or comment on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at TheManAirBoy93. Make sure to also check out my NXT TakeOver 30 card predictions. I did that. I'm going to try to get my SummerSlam ones done soon. Hopefully within the next day or so. And maybe I'll do a payback card prediction as well. Again, we'll see about that. That's going to do it, guys. I'm checking out. Have a great rest of your night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, Thursday, for AEW and NXT reviews. We'll see how that goes. So I'm checking out, guys. Have a great rest of your night. Peace out, everybody.